What is worse? I had an agent give me a call a couple of days ago and say, Mackenzie, I need to do a price reduction. And I said, okay. My first question was, why do you think you need to do a price reduction? And she went into days on market, number of showings, feedback from the showings, a couple of things that we can't control about the house that we couldn't change. It needs, I shouldn't say it needs, but if it had another bedroom, perhaps it would sell a little bit quicker. And so I said, okay, those are all reasons why we would have a price reduction conversation with our client. And I could feel her anxiousness a little bit. So I just said, is any of this coming from what perhaps your seller is saying? And she's like, no, the seller really hasn't said anything. I said, okay, that's kind of good. So let's not assume that he's thinking the worst. Of course he wants to sell the house. Of course he wants to move on from this, but let's make sure that our next steps for our seller is not based on what we think he or she is thinking or wanting us to do. So I'm going to go back to my original question in this video is, what is worse? Is it worse to call up your seller and just say, hey, we need to have a price reduction? Or is it worse to know that you've put a strategy in place, know that you have next best steps for your client, and then have that conversation about a price reduction? Now in the world of marketing, we call it a price improvement. So whichever one that you want to say is fine, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to call it a price reduction because that's kind of what it is. So going back to the agent who gave me a call, today is Tuesday, how are we proactively going to set the conversation up that we want to have on a Friday, right? So she's like, all right, let's think about that. So I asked her the question, how does this client like to be communicated with? What is the easiest way to get a hold of them? And she said, by text. And I said, okay, let's text him something like, just wanted to reach out. I have some market information to share with you, some feedback from agents who have shown your house. And I was wondering, what is the best time to speak with you on Friday morning? Now, even if he prefers to text, I do think this is a conversation that should happen over the phone. So if someone prefers to text, let's give them that space and that time to know that I need to have a conversation with you. And I think it also shows that we're not afraid to have that conversation, even though we don't want to have this price reduction conversation. So she texted him the information. He said, absolutely, I can speak to you at this time on Friday. So now you, agent, have some time to really think through that strategy, really think through those steps that are going to be the best foot forward for your client, not because we are reacting to a situation of, I listed the house isn't selling, and I'm afraid my seller is going to be upset with me. So when she's going to call him tomorrow on Friday, the conversation will go a little bit like, this is the market information I have for you. This is what has sold. This is what has gone under contract while you've been on the market, same price point, a comparable home, same area. This is how long we've been on the market. These are how many showings that you've had. This is our feedback. And because the market has spoken, it's going to be my recommendation that we do a price reduction to X number. Don't say anything. Don't assume that they're going to be angry. Don't assume that they're going to be worried or freak out. They could do all of those things. This client might be thinking the same exact thing. So when you say, I think we should reduce the price to this, pause. Let them respond. Then you know how to respond. Because they might react. We don't want to react. We want to respond. So he could say, absolutely not. I'm not reducing the price. This is what we want to do. Say, okay, let me just share with you the positive and negatives of both of these situations, of doing a price reduction, of not doing a price reduction. Go into those steps. That's another video to go through. But today was the question, what is worse? Having a price improvement conversation without a blueprint, without a strategy in place? Or is it just to give them a call and say, we need to do a price reduction and hope and pray that they agree with what you want to do? Hope this was helpful. It was helpful to the client and to the agent. So we will see if perhaps it goes under contract this weekend. Have a great one.